Hey, this is Adrian Granados, and you're watching True School Sports.
It's personal between me and you, and I'm going to do you some serious harm, you big stiff idiot.
The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's been missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, wanted to get my little quick thoughts on the sensational virtuoso, I would say the best performance of Carlos Adames' boxing career. You know, this is a good fight on paper. You know, you had Carlos Adames coming in, who won a close fight, his last fight against the very tough, very formidable, and very game Sergey Derevyanchenko, and he was taking on Juan Montiel, who in his last fight, he took on WBC middleweight champion Jermall Charlo, challenged for the title, didn't win, but was awkward, took Charlo the distance, took some rounds off of him, and made him look vulnerable in very small pockets of that fight. So the line of thought coming in was you have Adames, who has a reputation for not having a great gas tank, taking on a guy Montiel, who maybe can't punch or box like Adames, but he has the better stamina, and he can really test that stamina of Adames late. Well, Adames, I think he made the decision when he started his training camp that he was not going to allow Montiel to take him the full distance because, man, he stopped his ass in the third round. Now, Bob Santos, shout out to him. He's having a banner year as far as being a trainer. He hasn't really been a head trainer at all in his whole boxing life, but he's having a great year this year training. He got Alberto Puello and Hector Luis Garcia both to world titles. Now you got Adames picking up the biggest win of his career. He's come out and said many times before he feels like Carlos Adames is the most talented fighter, or one of the most talented fighters he's ever been around. And he's been around boxing for like 40 years, around a lot of great fighters over the years. So that's not a small claim to make when you're a guy like Bob Santos with his background in the sport and with his experience. So this fight with Montiel, Adames showed some new wrinkles to his game. He boxed the lion's share of this fight in the Southpaw stance. And I remember when he switched Southpaw, Al Bernstein and the Showtime commentators, they were saying, oh, he shouldn't switch Southpaw. But then I was watching the fight with my dad last night, and I was telling Pops, I'm like, man, he needs to stay in that Southpaw stance, because I saw him throw a jab and a straight, and then he threw a hook, and they all looked really sharp. And it looked like Montiel was having a hard time picking up on the speed and the angles of where the punches are coming from Adames. So I'm like, nah, Pops, fuck these announcers. He's got to stay in the Southpaw stance, and he's got to continue to punch around the guard and do what he's doing. And so he did that. He took my advice, or he took what I thought he should do, and he turned in a great performance. I mean, beat the living piss out of Juan Montiel. I think he did to Juan Montiel what we wanted Jermall Charlo to do to Juan Montiel, because Juan Montiel was really, on paper, was on the level of a Jermall Charlo, but Jermall Charlo made it look that way and allowed him to take Charlo the distance. And really, what Adames has done is, for lack of a better term, he's exposed Charlo. Charlo exposed by Adames, you know, because I know you can't use triangle theories, you know, I've said this many times before, but when you look at Jermall Charlo, you look at like his performances at middleweight on a consistent basis, not the results, but more so the performances, he's not really been lighting the world on fire, and I think he's stagnated and regressed as a fighter. And truth be told, I don't want to be a prisoner of the moment, but that Carlos Adames that I saw last night, trained, focused, sharp, determined, hungry, that version of Carlos Adames, I think, has a chance to be the best middleweight in the world, you know, honestly, because first of all, the division is not very good to begin with. You got Charlo as the champion. He's calling out Charlo. He says he was saying after the fight, I want Charlo. I think that it's a fight to make, because, you know, you have a common opponent. Charlo went the distance with him and looked very, very average. Adames fought him and had a statement performance. He made a statement. We talk about making statements in boxing. That was a statement. And it's the kind of statement that warrants him getting a shot at the WBC title against Charlo. I mean, a 3-round stoppage against Montiel. The fight before that, he grinded out a good victory against Sergey Derevyanchenko. So 2 common opponents with Charlo. I think Charlo did better against Derevyanchenko than Adames did, but I think Adames did much better, like way better with Montiel than Charlo did. So You know, we can only compare performances for so long. We have to get to a stage where this becomes a fight to make. So I'll like to see Adames versus Charlo get made. If that Adames from last night shows up out that Southpaw stance, determined, hungry, and prepared to win, I think he can beat Charlo, honestly. But you know, we also got Johnny Beck in the division. I don't think Johnny Beck will ever get a fight against Carlos Adames, to be honest with you, because of the whole fake politics that go on in boxing. But I would like that fight as well. It was just really encouraging to see, because I remember watching, you know, Carlos Adames in his early days at 154 when he was fighting like Frank Galarza and he was fighting Patrick Day and these kind of guys before he lost to Patrick Teixeira, which is still shocking to this day. But like when he was speeding up, like when he fought Patrick Day, RRP, and rest his soul, Patrick Day. But when he fought him, and then when he fought Frank Galarza, I thought Carlos Adames back in those days was the most talented Dominican fighter since Juan Guzman. And now it looks like he's come back around to that. So I'm happy about that. You know, and shout out to Dominican boxing again, Boxeo Dominicano to the top. Dominican boxing is absolutely on fire, and Carlos Adames has done his part to keep it on fire. You know, we had, you know, him start the trend last year, beating Derevyanchenko. Then Hector Luis Garcia upsets Chris Colbert. Alberto Puello becomes world champion, and Hector Luis Garcia become world champion on the same night. Frenchie Fortunato picks up a victory in a tough fight against the undefeated Bernard Torres. Now you got Adames winning again. So that's like a 6-fight win streak for the Dominicans in big fights. And then you got next up, and shout out to my man Broadway Joel, who's doing a good job covering Dominican boxing. Shout out. Next up is Michelle Rivera. Let's see if Michelle Rivera can keep the untouchable Dominican boxing dynasty rolling. He's taking on Jerry Perez. Good fight. Jerry Perez can punch, so gotta be careful with that one. And then I know we got Jason Rosario taking on I think Elvis Gomez. So you know, we'll see when the Dominican boxing run ends. But it's been the year of the Dominican in boxing. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. But yeah, leave your comments down below. What did you guys make of Carlos Adames' performance? And what do you think about him potentially fighting Jermall Charlo in 2023? I really do think it's a competitive fight. I think it would be a watershed moment in the career of Charlo because Adames is in a good run of form right now. And I feel like he's determined and ready at 28 years old, a great age, to make some history in his career and become the next Dominican boxing world champion. So yeah, leave your comments down below. Make sure y'all take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Dania. So until next time, take care, guys.
I think True School Sports, he's the truth. One of the best the best.
Ooh, the number one.
Number one.
Brandon, you've been there, man, and you're building up a good following with us.
Thank you.
And I'm proud to be a part of what you're doing too. You are spectacular, and
Thank you, man. All the best to True School Boxing, and keep up the good work.